Okay. I just want to talk a little bit about how much establishment Democrats suck, and this is a pretty good lead into it.
Be made public. That's the sub-ending right there. So they're getting. So Steve, I don't know.
Why won't they be made public?
Um,
Because they're disappointing, or because
I'm going to guess because they're disappointing. But here we'll get into it. So President Donald Trump's critics have spent the past. This is from Politico. Politico, right? This isn't from CommonDreams.org. This is from Politico.
yeah,
This isn't from Socialist Worksite website or something. This isn't from Worldwide Web. This is from Politico. It says President Donald Trump's critics have spent the past 17 months anticipating what some expect will be among the most thrilling events of their lives. Special counsel Robert Mueller's final report on Russian 2016 election interference. They may be in for a disappointment. I love how that's good writing, by the way.
it sounds like my first sexual encounter. Although I didn't really warn her.
I think that's what it's. I think that's what it said on says on Robert Mueller's Tinder profile. Prepare for disappointment. Man, who would have thought that the folks responsible for the Iraq War would let us down again? Who? There is more to. I'm sure a ton of people in the corporate media is going to apologize. Though I'm sure they will. Right?
Well, what's Rachel Maddow going to talk about?
What is she going to talk about now? She's going to have to talk about actual policies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so speaking of actual policies, I have an interesting point to make here. A lot of people like to talk about why uh, progressive politicians are so strong. You know, the Cortez and okay, the other ones kind of elude me at the moment. But I can name a lot that actually aren't winning. But seriously, though, I mean, I, I see progressive politics as being the strongest. Uh, you know, as a politician, I wouldn't want to be anything but a progressive politician, except for the fact that you've got the entire establishment lined up against you with all their clout and all their bullshit, all their thuggery and all their tricks and everything. Other than that, I mean, if it were just a level playing field and you had progressives, Republicans, establishment Democrats, uh, I would take progressives and Green Party and other socialists over. I mean, I don't think actually I don't think in 10 years there would be any Republicans or establishment Democrats. It would all be just people would just be voting for different progressives. you know, you'd have to run. In the final vote, it would be three progressives running for president because there's a lot of truth and honesty and facts, reality based behind us, whereas you look at Republicans, they're full of shit, right? And we've known it and we've proved it over and over again. I mean, I have seen the arguments between people on whether we should or could get rid of poverty, um, whether we should or could help people more to have better lifestyles, make more money, get more money, housing, transportation, everything. I mean, I've seen them all argued out a million times. Well, not a million, but believe me. I mean, I was arguing in the chat rooms, the political chat rooms on Yahoo, politics chat rooms back in 91, 92, 93. And I was a bit of a journalist back then because, when you have to argue things, it's a lot like journalism. Because in journalism, you're doing what I'm doing right now. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't know a lot about it. Now, here's the thing that knowing a lot about it, why it's worth listening to me. Here's something you won't hear from anybody else not because I know anything, but just, I don't know, I pick these things up out of the air, and that doesn't sound very journalistic, but I'll tell you what, I'm right about this, and that is, I know why Hillary Clinton really lost. Not to Trump, but to Bernie, because she did lose to Bernie. I mean, they stole it, but she did lose. I mean, if every independent and every person who wasn't allowed to vote for Bernie because they made it, you had to register as a Democrat before Bernie ever even announced his intention to run as a Democrat. So you've got millions of independents who couldn't vote for him. Millions upon millions, okay? So why did she lose to him? And I'll tell you why. It's simple. Because, no, I'm not going to tell you why yet. But I'm going to set it up. I'm setting it up. Okay? Let's face it. By the time the primary was over, she had caved to Bernie verbally, not in real life, but she had caved. I mean, watch the segments in between my segments. Okay, when I do my segments for my show, which you're watching right now, in between are Hillary's bullshit. Okay, that's what I'll call it. So the first one talks about how she'll say anything. It's I forget who the journalist is from CNN. He's a loser too. All these MSM guys, men and women are. But he said, "Will you do anything? Will you say anything to win an election?" And that was it. And if you watch all the different ones on gay marriage, on just everything, on how she backstabbed Warren, everything. So by the end of the primary, she was pretending to be Bernie. As a matter of fact, I wish I could find this meme that I made where I put her face on the front of a chameleon. And another one where I put her face on Bernie. Because I was making fun of her. Okay, so there's the setup. She did completely copy Bernie. So why did she lose? And I'm still saying she lost. And by the way, every time I heard her say she got votes, she said she got 11 million. Every time I heard Bernie say how many votes he said he got 12. So it may have been a case of the person with the most votes losing again. How that works. So why did she lose? Well, I'll tell you why. Now I'll tell you why. That's right, I'm making you wait. Well, it's good. You're going to like this. It's because she, in the very beginning of her campaign, she was upside down. She was upside down. She was for fracking. She was for TPP. She called it the gold standard. She was against gay marriage. She was for the whatever, for keeping marriage for a man and a woman. You name it. She was a Republican. And people never forgot that. People never forgot that. And when she to top off that, to put a little icing on the cake, when she started doing all this really desperate shit, aside from the fact that she would flip on every issue and copy Bernie, so that by the time you got to the primaries, the actual voting, you were voting for the same person, at least if you believed what you saw on TV. And you saw constantly. I used to flip on the TV in the morning, and they'd have on Good Morning America Hillary Clinton be on it all morning. They'd go to some breakfast, and she'd dish up people's biscuits and gravy, and they'd talk like they're so casual and cool. I mean, you've seen it, right? I mean, it's so phony. But Americans who don't understand how phony that is, they fall for that crap. Right? Hook, line, and sinker. They fell for George Bush. He's the kind of guy I'd like to sit down at a bar and have a beer with. Give me a break. I'd be too worried that as I was walking out of the bar, I'd have a knife in my back. No, seriously though. I mean, I'd be too worried that he would fuck me over in some ways. He just seemed like a dick. I never fell for that crap. Anyway, we're not talking about him. So Clinton, right? I mean, she just totally bamboozled everybody. It's the only reason she got any votes at all. So just before I go, I'm going to say again, the reason is because nobody forgot where it all started in the very beginning, what her positions were. So, that's why progressives have the edge, because they go from a real progressive, goes from beginning to end, very consistent, and with the right message, with the message of, what will I call it? What is it? Conscience, message of conscience.